Hello, hello. Welcome. Welcome to today's Wednesday Live. We are reporting at a new time. Let me go ahead and put myself on Do Not Disturb before some folks call me. All right. So, welcome. So, today we're talking about the gaps that you may be going through and why it's not allowing you to create the freedom and ease that you desire. So, I want to walk through some steps today that can help guide you as to what are the key areas you want to focus on for 2026, and not even for 2026. As we wrap up this year, what can you focus on to start 2026 from a position of power? Because that's what we want to do. We want to make sure that you are in a position of power so that you are able to kill it in 2026, right? We want to make sure that you are on the path toward creating financial freedom. So before we jump in, I want to let you know who I am. My name is Ashika Ma'at. I am the founder of Jama Wealth Financial, and my main goal is to help you keep more cash in your pockets so you can position it to wealth and create a life of freedom and ease. So I'm talking about this topic specifically because there are key areas that I'm seeing over and over again when you're coming and you're like, I want to, improve my finances, but I don't know where to start, right? It's either I don't know how much to invest, I don't know where my money's going, you don't have an understanding of your net worth. So we're going to walk through each of these steps. And as we're going through this, a couple areas, like just to start with, I want you to really zone in on one, do you know what is happening with your money from month to month? So when you think about that, that looks like, do you understand how much money is coming in, your income, what is actually hitting your bank account? And do you understand what is going out? And this doesn't have to involve like tedious spreadsheet tracking or anything like that. There are software out there that can help you. One of the things that I use that I love is Monarch Money. I'll make sure I drop a link to that in the description. But that's somewhere where you can put all of your accounts, your credit card, your bank accounts, your student loans, your mortgage into one account or one platform, and it allows you to have a good view of your overall finances. A couple of the key areas that I want you to look at is, do you understand your cash flow from month to month? And when we look at cash flow, that's looking at how much your income is coming in versus how much is going out. And then that gap between your income and expenses, that's your cash flow. So if you have a positive cash flow, right, then that's going to be the to your benefit to be able to use that income to position it into areas that are going to help you create more freedom and ease, building your investments, building up your savings, allowing you to enjoy life now and travel. Like those are all the things that you can do when you have a positive cash flow. If your cash flow is negative, one of the things you can do is one, get an understanding of what's happening. So the first step will be, where is your money actually going? How are you looking at your overall expenses? Are you monitoring from month to month? Are you looking at how things are changing in terms of your utility bills or subscriptions that you may have that you have not even canceled, right? So those are some of the things that you want to do. One of the key things too that I see is the question of, how much can I invest without it impacting my lifestyle? So it's either one or two things. Like I want to invest, but I feel like if I invest, I'm missing out on right now. And I don't want to save all this money to only retire or wait until I can retire to be able to enjoy it. And my philosophy is you can find a way to invest and still build for your future, right? And still enjoy your life right now. And so that's some of the things that we're going to talk through as we go through this as well. So the first gap that I want to walk you through is helping you understand, one, how much to invest. Because the thing is, you want to invest, you don't know where to invest or how much you need. But the key step, again, is managing that cash flow. Once you have an understanding of, okay, where my money is going, how much do I have going to my expenses, how much I have going to savings, then you can actually look at how much you want to invest. And I actually like to work backwards, right? So the way that you want to do this is you're going to be looking at, how much do you actually need to fund your lifestyle, right? So if you're thinking about in terms of achieving financial freedom or achieving financial independence, independence is more so you have your investments that you're living off of and it's funding your life. You want to look at your annual expenses. So You take your annual expenses, you see how much that amount is, and then you multiply that by 25. That's going to give you what your financial freedom number is. I like to work backwards. There's a calculator called investor.gov, and I'll be sure to link that in the description. But you can put your information in there and work backwards as to, okay, if this is the amount that I need invested, and I want to reach this in, say, 20 or 25 years, how much do I need to invest right now to make sure that I can achieve that goal, assuming a 8 to 10% annual return? And that's if you're investing in an index fund that tracks the S&P 500, right? So to figure out that number, you're working backwards to help you create that plan forward, because in order for you to figure out how much you need to invest, you have to have a clear understanding of the vision and the life that you want, meaning how much do you want to have saved and invested so that you can actually live off of that, right? So that's the first place you want to look into. And the next question usually that comes after that is, okay, yes, I figured out my numbers, I figured out how much I need to invest, but where do I actually invest my money so that it can grow? Well, the first place, you're probably already investing in your employer's 401k plan, which is great. My philosophy is, one of the things that I'll say is, yes, it's great to invest in your employer's 401k, but the thing you have to remember is that if you are looking to retire early and live off of your investments, you want to have investment accounts where you can actually access it without having a penalty. So that's things like your brokerage account, your Roth IRA, where you can actually access in the Roth IRA, you can actually access the contributions that you put into that account without touching your earnings until age 59 and a half. So you want to think about those different things of, like, if you're just wanting to save and save to traditional retirement, then you may not have to worry about that as much. But if you're one that's like, hey, I want to retire when I'm in my 40s or 50s, then you want to think about those accounts, a brokerage account and a Roth IRA account. I love the Roth IRA, again, because it is tax-free. So the money you put in that account, because you're using after-tax dollars, you're allowing that money to grow tax-free, and then the earnings on that is tax-free as well. So that's the benefit there when you look at that. The next area that I want you to look at as well is tracking your net worth. So this is one of those things where I feel like, in order for you to have a good understanding of where you are and how you're doing financially, you want to understand your overall financial picture. So ask yourself, do you know what your net worth is? Do you know how much assets you have? Do you know how much your overall debts are? If you don't, that's an area that you want to tap into, because that's what's going to give you a good assessment of, am I on track? Is my net worth growing over time? Because here's the thing. If you're tracking your net worth and you're continuously seeing your net worth dipping down into a negative number or trending down, then there are several things that you want to look at. One, are you racking up more debt? Is your debts increasing that it's kind of offsetting that you're putting more money towards debt? Or is it that either A, you don't have any assets, you're not increasing your assets, meaning that you're not investing? So you want to look at those things, because the idea is you want your assets to be increasing and your debts to be decreasing. That's what's going to create that nice gap and allow you to have that positive net worth that is increasing over time, right? So you want to look at, is it going up? Is it staying flat? Or is it just going down into the hole? Having that information and understanding is really going to help you determine whether or not you are moving in the right direction. And I want to highlight this too, because I know a lot of people, especially high earners, you may have your home or your car and you have that listed as your net worth. And I know there's like, oh, don't put your primary home as part of your net worth because it's not in it. I don't listen to all of that. My main thing is, when you put your home in there as part of your net worth, it's going to be a static number. I personally don't change the home value of my property in my net worth unless we've done some significant upgrades and we've gotten it appraised and it gives us a new value of what our home is actually worth. Other than that, I'm focusing on, is it increasing based on my investments and my savings that I'm putting away? Is it increasing because I'm reducing my mortgage and my student loans? Like, those are the things that I'm looking at to make sure that the number is increasing over time. But that's going to give you more insights as to what's happening. And I'll share with you about one of my clients who, this was what we used with her, and just to see what her results were during this process. The other area that I want to talk about, which is a gap, is for you who are busy, you're managing these projects, you're like, oh my gosh, my corporate life, I'm like overwhelmed managing the team. When I get home, I don't have time. I don't feel like looking at numbers and looking at budgets and doing all those things. For you, the individual who's thinking like that, I want you to look at how you can actually maximize the time that you're spending on your plan, where you're still able to look at your finances, but then you're also having a system in place so that you know, okay, I can pay my bills on time, automate them so that they're going wherever it needs to be. And then also making sure that you're automating the process with savings. Like I always say this, you want to be able to reduce the mental load that you have when it comes to managing your money. I remember what it was like working in corporate, 4 kids, coming home, managing the house, managing projects, all those things, and then still feeling overwhelmed like, oh my gosh, now I got to go look at my numbers. I got to pay bills and do all these things. But when you have a system in place that works for your life, works for how you operate, let me tell you, it will make your life so much easier because you're already making decisions every single day. You're, putting out fires, talking to stakeholders. When you come home, you're like, I don't want to think about numbers. I don't want to be in the weeds of these numbers. You can do that, but you want to be able to have more like quick access to understand what's happening with your finances and still be able to see progress, right? Because you don't want to stay in this state of overwhelm, right? It's easy to avoid it because it's like, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I don't have any energy. I'll deal with it tomorrow. Then tomorrow becomes months and months becomes you're like in a rack of debt. And then you're trying to figure out how did you get to that point? This is why we want to make sure that your system is in place that is working for your life, right? And this boils down to what I've been talking about. If you didn't get a chance to go to my Clarity to Cash Flow Masterclass, this is exactly what I talked about, is how having that clarity. Because what I want to ask you, if you had awareness as to what was going on with your numbers, what was going on with your finances, like how would that make you feel? Like to really be in control and understand like, oh, I know I'm saving 15% a month, I'm investing another 10% over here. Like how would that make you feel to have that clarity over your overall finances? Because clarity is what's going to make you feel more in control. When you are avoiding, when you don't know what's going on, that's where the overwhelm comes from, right? You have to get an understanding of, all right, what am I working towards? What's the vision that I'm working towards? What are the values that I need to align with? And then you're taking and creating a plan that's going to align you in that space. You will have more control when you make that shift and get real with what's actually happening with your money and why you feel stuck. Because all the things that you want to do, investing, creating ease and freedom, all of those things are going to require you to have a plan. It's going to require you to take forward steps to understand, okay, well, what am I doing right now? What are the habits and behaviors that I have in place that's not allowing me to see that forward progress? That's the data that you need to really get an understanding of, are you overspending? Do you have lifestyle inflation that's happening? Meaning as your income is increasing, you're also increasing your expenses at the same rate? Because that's what happens a lot. As high earners, you're spending all this money. And then, when the cash runs out, then you're leaning on the credit cards. And I know this because this is the cycle that I've been in, right? This is the cycle that my clients have been in. But we found a way to get out of that cycle by creating a system that's in alignment. So, okay, there's a trigger point of, all right, if I'm spending on my credit card, I know that, oh, that means I'm spending too much. I need to make sure I'm guiding myself to pay this off before I'm accruing interest, right? You want to have these data points in place so that it will help you be more in control so that you're not in the avoidance state. And so I want to walk you through some key quick areas of like, depending on where you are, what are the first steps that you should do to help you move forward? So, and these are based on some of the common things that when I talk to clients that they're saying over and over again. So one of the things is if you feel lost with your numbers, right? If you're one of those like, I don't know where my money's going, my money's coming in, is leaving as fast as it's coming in, then the main thing that you need to start with is understanding your cash flow. So that's going to be you looking at your income, what's coming in, and then also tracking and looking at your expenses to get an understanding of what's going out. And here's a key piece that I want you to understand. It is not just you tracking your bills and what's due. You want to look at those variable expenses because that is the area where I see too often than not that is forgotten about. It's like, oh, well, I have money left over. Yes, you do. But then you're overspending on those expenses that don't have a due date. And then when that cash runs up, then you're going to the credit cards and then you're running that up. But that's why you feel like, you're lost. You don't know what's going on, and your money seems to be losing itself every month, right? So the main thing there is understand your cash flow, what's happening with your income versus your expenses. The second thing is if you feel scattered and overwhelmed and you're like, I don't know what's happening. I'm in avoidance. I don't want to look at my bank account because things look crazy. Then what you're going to do is you're going to be looking at tracking your main account. I'll say focus on that main account. I always like to say have one main bills account and tracking to understand what is coming into that account and what is going out of that account. Once you get a handle on that, you can move over to your variable spending account and really get an understanding of how money is flowing, because that is the only way that you're going to really get control when you start tracking and seeing the movement of things, right? If you are someone who's like, I'm tired, I'm too busy, right? I'm going to go back to that automation. Automation is going to be a game changer for you. Because if you can manage your money with a system where it's taking you 10 minutes a week just to look over your numbers and making sure that the automations and everything is set, like that is going to be the game changer, right? And I always say with each client, it's always a different system because I create systems for you based on your personality and how you relate to money, right? There's the overarching cash flow command system, but it is tailored to the individual and how you operate with money, right? So the main thing for you is to just get an understanding of what's happening with your finances, and then you can make a plan to make that progress moving forward. So I want to share with you because a lot of the key things that I shared here, one of my clients who I've been working with for about a year now, I think we just came up on our year. When she came to me, she had about $70,000 in debt. High earner, has a business on the side, but still felt like she was living paycheck to paycheck, still felt like it was overwhelmed with her money. And the main thing that we focus on, and I always say this, we do not jump straight into, all right, here are the numbers, what's going on. You have to first understand what is it that you desire? What are you working towards? What are your values, right? Because when you can create a plan in alignment with your values, then things start to click. If you're just randomly saving money because, you were told to save money, yes, that's a good thing. But you want to have a plan behind it. Okay, what is that savings for? Is it for you to save for your emergency fund? Is it to save for a vacation? Is it to save for, I don't know, your kids' college fund? You have to have a vision and a plan behind why you're doing that thing so that there's more emotion behind being able to stick to that plan. And then aligning with the values, right? Because that's the main thing that we focus on was aligning with her values. What does she want? She wanted to be able to save, pay off her debt, and not have to give up her vacation. That was the main thing, was like, I still want to live my life. I still want to travel. I still want to go on vacation. And so we designed the plan that would allow her to still save. And over the year, she's paid off about $50,000 of debt, right? So, and she didn't have to sacrifice. She didn't live off of beans and rice. She didn't do any of those things. We simply got clear on, okay, what do you need in terms of income and how to manage your expenses to ensure that you are able to still go on that trip, still be able to have a plan to pay off your debt and still invest. And it is possible because a lot of the women that I'm working, like, they have a 9-to-5 and they have a business on the side as well. So you're making more than enough money. Like, that's what I'm finding. You're making more than enough money, but you don't have an understanding of what's going on or where your money's going. Things are scattered. And that's why you feel stuck. That's why you're not able to move forward and actually see progress and see more ease. Remember, the goal is for you to take that income and position it to build for you. When you can have your income put in a place where you're working for the money, but then now your money's working for you, like, that's the shift. That's where things start rolling and you're able to have more ease and relax and not feel so overwhelmed with what's going on with your money, right? So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. If you are watching the replay, make sure that you also comment as well. Let me know which of these gaps are ones that you are kind of toiling around with and having some concern with. So the first gap was one, understanding how much to invest. The second gap was knowing where to invest. The third gap was being able to track your net worth, because that's what's going to give you an overall assessment as to what's happening with your finances. And then number 4 gap is automating those expenses and those savings to make sure that you have a way to not be so overwhelmed, especially if you're a busy individual. Like, you don't want to have to be stuck in spreadsheets, all day long, right? So let me know which of those gaps are the ones that you feel like you have, either A, need to get more control over, and what are the questions you have? Do you feel like you're able to make progress? What are the areas that are keeping you stuck? Drop them in the comments and let me know. And I wanted to highlight, because I know I've been doing these lives at 3:00 for the past few weeks. And then over the last 2 weeks, it's been a lot of those. I had a lot of appointments, kind of getting to your 40s. And then, things start creaking and things start happening. So I had to shift around and wasn't able to make the 3:00 time. So my goal is to do 4:30 on Wednesdays. We'll see how this plays out, if this time works well, because I got to balance this with the kids and all those things. But my goal is to continue to provide this content to you. And if I'm not able to, show up live, I definitely want to make sure that I have a video out there for you guys. But I hope this was helpful for you guys. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. And until next time, here's to your financial freedom. Peace.